Oh boy, so I haven't made any content in like almost a month. And then before that, it was kind of like lackluster. So if you haven't seen, I just recently came out with a new transition pack. I'm super excited about it because there's a whole new way of the transitions working using different animation styles. I was going to initially say how many different variations. So if you pick one and pick something else and like how many different variations there are. And I just felt super weird about saying that large of a number. Because I feel like some people might not understand what I meant by that. But so over time, I think I'm just going to be adding in more different categories. Like wording for this is super different now. Because I just used to say, okay, there are 30 different transitions here, right? But now the transitions, so I might have swipe left, swipe right, swipe up, swipe down. That might have been 4, right? But now they're all in one. Reason on that is because if you look at my project my Resolve over here, if you look at my transitions, the list just goes and goes and goes and goes. And it's like, that's super difficult to find, right? But you could simply just type in here now Pro, and you could say, okay, I don't have any media in here. Actually, I might be able to do it between two of these, but I might want let's say a push. All right, so I had to just add some footage in here, but so let's say we wanted to add in this push. Well, before, this used to be broken up into all of these different ways, right? And those would all be different animations. But now they're all together. So, I want it to go down. So now it will go down, right? Oh, I want it to go left. So now it goes to the left. So now it's weird because we can do that and then we can change the in and out. So maybe I want it to, at the end, it bounces. So it goes over, but then it bounces. There's all these weird things, but all of the different variations amongst this whole pack, its current state is over 9,000. So I don't know. I was just super weird about explaining that. And then you have the blurs and I don't know. But yeah, so I've been working on that for a long period of time. And now that's finally out. And I feel like I figured out every single bug that existed. So we'll see if anyone reports anything, but I actually did have one person send me something because they had the old slick transitions pack and they said oh, you're missing this. And I used it a lot, so I showed them a workaround to get what they were looking for, but that was put into the list of things to add. So in the future, that pack is definitely gonna, get a lot of things added to it. So we'll see where that goes. So I guess while I'm doing this, I could kind of explain what I'm doing here. A lot of the time while I'm talking, I say and quite a bit. So I'm just cutting that out, and I use razor and cut to playhead or end to playhead. And so what I would do here is right here is a heavy breath. So I want to cut that out. So I'm just on the playhead, just using the playhead and using my keyboard. I'd cut before it, come to the end. Wherever my playhead is, it'll just cut there and then close in all of the gap there. So it's just a really fast way. If you're curious on how to do that, if we come up here to keyboard shortcuts, I use F1, F2, and F3 for it. So start to playhead, which will cut everything at the start. And then we have razor, which is just a normal cut, and then cut to end. So then it'll take the end of whatever I'm cutting and slide it over. That's what I did here. So what I do is I come here and I come here, and now what I'm going to do is start to playhead. So what it's going to do is it's going to make a cut here and then slide this to the start, right? So it's going to take all that and cut that out and then implement it. And you want, and I can actually cut out that as well. Tools were implemented and you want to use those, but the timing's a little weird and you're not that comfortable in Fusion. So just cut that out. So that's, and I don't really like ums in there. So that's kind of what I'll be. All right, and then I'm going to come in a little bit more and go a little bit before it. So that's kind of what I'll be going over, but I could add a transition in there because it's kind of jarring. So that's kind of what I'll be going over. It's fine. And then the other thing that I always do is I always listen, and this is something that takes time to get used to it, get more comfortable, is because I will listen to this multiple times, I just fast forward all of it. So this is real time how I work. But why is it like this when you get, an Adobe product? It's not, and get, And I'm not really watching the video because I already know what I'm doing. Just because of this style, all I'm really doing is just watching the waveform when I'm talking and just listening to it. And if I hear something that's weird, I just have to take my playhead back to where that position was. Yikes. I haven't watched these videos in so long. I said that I would have hundreds of free titles on my website, and I don't even have hundreds of free titles on my website right now. This is super interesting because at this point, I don't remember this. At this point, this is DaVinci Resolve 15. This was the public beta, and this was the first introduction to Fusion being added to DaVinci Resolve. I was making all of these in Fusion Studio and then bringing them into here. This is interesting to see. Audio from back then, oh my gosh. I always think that my audio now is kind of echoey because of this room, but the audio in this, I don't know what I was thinking. Horrible. All right, so I kind of want to make a callback to this in this whole little thing here. So I just got to watch this and figure out where I want to put it. Trying to find all of these old videos is kind of difficult because I don't know what title or what videos talked about what. And I don't remember what I titled things. Fusion effects on the edit page. That was the end of last year, so that couldn't be the right one. I don't know where the last set of videos were. Anyways, today's another day. Last night I got an email asking me about how to recreate an effect that they were trying to do, that they watched a YouTube video of someone making it in After Effects. Pretty sure I knew how to make it. And so this morning doing is a dry run of making sure that I have everything put together. There are a couple of interesting things that I ended up doing. So I first started with just making the 3 pixels and then just duplicated that, or I guess that'd be subpixels. I don't know what the proper term is for it, but like a red, green, and blue grouping is supposed to be like 1 pixel. So this is supposed to be like 1 pixel, and I made a whole bunch of them, but they were all on the same level. So when you looked at the full image, you would see these like really defined lines that like made everything. And then looking more into it, they're actually offset. So I ended up making them offset. So there's a couple of extra nodes here. Super easy to do, but when I'm doing the tutorial, I just have to jot down those numbers so I make sure that I get them right. For someone that's following along that doesn't really understand how to move masks around, because that's all they are, is just masks. But pretty much what we're doing here is this is all we're making. It's a 20 by 10 pixels, right? And the float 32, if I was making this into something big, I would actually turn this down to 8 inch. It's just a lot of extra memory that's not really needed, but that's a whole nother subject. But anyways, so what I did is, this is just a red, right? It's just a solid red background node, right? That's 20 pixels by 10 pixels. And we're just having the red channel and alpha, so it's a solid. And then we just have 3 masks, one for the main one, and then the other one is just the top half and the bottom half with a little bit of a gap. And that gap is going to be the same as here and here, right? So that's what we did for all of these, and that's pretty much that, right? And then they go into a blank because now I need them to go to whatever the project size is. So if you leave auto resolution on, it'll go to the project size. And then we end up getting this craziness here, but we have it mapped to this image here, right? So coming out of there, I thought that adding a little bit of a blur was kind of a good thing to add on. And I'll talk about that in the video. And then this is the final product that you get out of it. Now, looking at it in such a zoomed in thing, it's kind of difficult. So what I do, or what I'm doing now, is just putting a media out so I can show you guys quick. So that's pretty much what it looks like, right? And one thing that I noticed is depending on when you pause the video, there's sometimes like this green cast that you could see, right? I don't know the reasoning on that. There isn't a single thing that I did that would, you know, push that to, I don't know. Actually, you know what? That's actually because of, I think I just learned something, and I don't know why this is, but when it's rendered cached, it has that green hue. You see that? When it's render cached, it has the green hue, and if it's not, then it doesn't have that. So that's another point that I'm gonna have to make on some reasoning. I have no idea why that is. But yeah, so that's something interesting that I just learned. And I'm guessing if I would turn that off, we go into none. Yeah, now we don't have it at all. So obviously, depending on strength of your computer, the playback, it's an interesting effect. You could definitely put this in a TV, or you could like render this out as something and then take this and put it in a TV in your scene, and then you could run like scan lines over it using the TV node.